What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some very entertaining battles in the Summer Cup, running Greninja in the lead, Shadow Magmortar as the save swap, and Shadow Blaziken as the closer. Now I didn't play much in the Summer Cup since I was on holiday, but by the time I did these battles the meta felt incredibly condensed, and I was frequently running into the same few Pokemon, so I will apologise in advance. There's not a lot of variety from my opponent's teams, but there's not a lot that I can do about that. It is what it is. But one of the most common trios that I saw was Charjabug, Vigoroth, and Toxapex, and Shadow Magmortar has played into all three of those Pokemon with this moveset. Obviously it doesn't actually beat Toxapex, and according to PvPoke, it actually doesn't even beat Charjabug in the 0 or 1 shield scenario either, which is pretty embarrassing for a fire type, but very rarely are matchups played in even energy and even shield scenarios, so this thing was actually still pretty viable. Anyways, with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. Which Glass Cannon Pokemon would you like to see me running in the Open Great League when it comes back later this evening? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so heading into the first battle, I'm sure some of you already noticed this team is incredibly weak to Lantern, so here it is in the lead. Gonna say swap into my Shadow Magmortar, and yes, whilst I did just mention that it actually can't even beat Charjabug in the 0 or 1 shield scenario, it actually can beat Lantern, or at least Spark Lantern, in the 1 and 2 shield scenario if we do land a Fire Punch bait. But you guys, if you do watch me quite frequently, you'll probably know that I don't really like baiting. I think it is one of my weaknesses to my gameplay. I don't take an awful lot of risk. I like to just guarantee either a shield or massive damage, but here we go for the second Scorching Sands, and the opponent actually underestimates the energy generation of the Shadow Magmortar, and Scorching Sands number 3 takes up the Lantern. We can now come in with our Greninja. We're behind on energy, but it doesn't matter. It's only 3 Water Shurikens to that Hydro Cannon. The opponent doesn't try and make a catch. Hydro Cannon one-shots the Talonflame. They've got Superior in the back, so Shadow Blaziken can come in. It can easily live, well, not actually that easily, but live an Aerial Ace, so the opponent just stops attacking, and at this point, when the Blaze Kick does eventually land, it will be taken out Superior, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there. Into next game, we see Greninja into an opposing Greninja. So I didn't see many Greninja. I think this might actually be the only one I saw, but we are going to go for an extra Water Shuriken, but unfortunately we start to lag right at that moment, so we don't get the extra fast move in at all, and now we're behind on energy, which really is not ideal. I mean, it might have been the case that we end up losing CMP on the next charge move anyways, but it is just very frustrating, and it's the kind of thing where these days I can't make a video without mentioning the stutter lag, so it's just sad. I wish Niantic would actually do something and fix their game for once, but whatever, we're going to go for the counter farm down. They've got Quagsire in the back, so I was hoping once I got rid of Greninja they wouldn't have any other water types, but apparently they've also got Quagsire, so at this point I'm going to shield. I'm hoping it's a Mud Bomb, and the opponent is running Mud Bomb, so probably not running Aqua Tail, which will allow me to make it to a Brave Bird on the CMP tie. Brave Bird will of course be one-shot in the Quagsire. We're going to swap into Shadow Magmortar. They've got Skeledirge in the back, and of course they are double resisting the Karate Chop damage, but it doesn't matter. Scorching Sands hits for super effective damage. It easily one-shots the Skeledirge, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there. Into next game we see Venusaur in the lead, so of course gonna say swap into my Shadow Magmortar, and the opponent comes in with a Lantern. Now I did just mention that we can win this in the 2 shield scenario or the 1 shield scenario if we bait with a Fire Punch, but actually since we've got such a significant energy advantage I don't think I need to bait at all here. But what I'm slightly wary of is that when shields are down, Blaziken is gonna struggle even up against that Venusaur, so I actually don't think I can afford to double shield in this matchup, because even a Frenzy Plant probably one-shots the Blaziken, so instead gonna let it go down, take the shield advantage instead, come in with the Blaziken, and I'm hoping I can just commit to a full counter farm down. It will be very close though, so I'm gonna shield up the Surf. I'm assuming they did throw straight away, and they actually swap into Dugong. Now here I actually could have overfarmed by 1 extra counter there. We go for the Brave Bird. Brave Bird easily gets the one-shot, and let's see, the opponent comes back in with the Lantern, and here I honestly should have just swapped into my Greninja. I don't know what I was thinking. I tried to get greedy, go for the full farm down, and as a result they make it to a charge move, and Greninja can't really do much up against this Venusaur. Now they make it to a Frenzy Plant, and of course up against a Greninja, Frenzy Plant easily one-shots us, and we do end up losing that game. But I could have just very easily stored a charge move, stored a Brave Bird once I did make it to that on the Blaziken, and then we could have been in a fine position. But here into the next battle, and you're going to see a lot of lag right now. Unfortunately, I was playing on my hotel's Wi-Fi, and it was not the best, I will say. I cut out most of the battles where we did just sort of unfortunately lag out here, but this was a very interesting battle, and you're going to see we shield there, hoping we could make it to a blaze kick and at least grab a shield back from the opponent, but unfortunately we're not able to do so. So despite having a great lead, I'm going to have to use both my shields here, and we've already lost switch advantage as well. So this is not ideal in the slightest, but we do get a huge farm down. They're going to come back in with the Jellicent. Of course, they go for one Hex there. I'm going to wait until they make it to a potential Surf, and then try and catch it onto my Greninja, and we do make that catch. Now, of course, Surf not going to do much damage, and they've actually got a Skeledirge in the back now with a slight energy advantage. This is actually pretty good for Greninja. We can grab both shields from the opponent here, making it to the second Hydro Cannon before they make it to the first charge move, and the opponent is going to use both their shields there. Now, of course, this Shadow Magmortar still has a ton of work to put in, but we've already seen Scorching Sands will be enough damage to get the KO here. I go for 4 Karate Chops, throw the Scorching Sands, taking out the Skeledirge, and have we put them into range where Scorching Sands number 2 will get the KO. It's going to be very close, but Scorching Sands does take out the Jellicent, and despite the awful lag there and the Wi-Fi completely dropping out, Shadow Magmortar with the sweep, able to take that game. Into the next game, another bad lead for us. Going to Safe Swap into my Shadow Magmortar, and again, we bait out a Toxapex this time. We're going to go for a Scorching Sands here, and you're going to see Scorching Sands does big damage here. If the opponent doesn't throw a charge move, we would make it to another move there. So I think this is quite nice. First of all, we drop their attack, but also we force the opponent to throw pretty much straight away, which is great for us because Greninja, of course, not really going to appreciate a Sludge Wave, but now we can massively overfarm here, and as well, because we drop their attack, these Poison Jabs, they're really not dealing that much damage. And a Night Slash is going to grab a shield. We also get a boost, which is very nice. This is basically the only boost that I got on Greninja that was actually useful. A lot of them were either like, I mean, I would have KO'd with the charge move anyways, or they were just right before Greninja went down, so it didn't really matter. But either way, this is definitely grabbing a shield now. So we go for the Hydro Cannon, grab that final shield, we swap into our Shadow Blaziken, and at this point I'm definitely going to shield the Blaziken. I should be able to commit to a full counter farm down, especially since they full sent a Rock Slide. That was very unnecessary. And now they come in with a Charge Bug. I think Brave Bird would do more damage, but I'm not going to risk it. We go for the Blaze Kick, dealing huge damage. We would have made it to a second one anyways, even if we didn't get the KO there. But I'm able to take out the Charger Bug and take that game. Into the next game, we're going to see a Whimsicott in the lead. So I'm going to Safe Swap into my Shadow Magmortar, and again, baiting out a Toxapex. And we are once again just going straight for the Scorching Sands. They can live this reasonably comfortably, and they're not going to be farmed down either. But if they do overfarm, we can make it to a Fire Punch. And from this range, Fire Punch probably going to grab a shield here. It does grab the shield, but they do get a massive farm down as well. What's different to this battle compared to the previous one is that the opponent didn't get debuffed when I threw the Scorching Sands there. So this Sludge Wave, unfortunately, is going to do massive damage to the Greninja, but that's fine. I'm going to go for the Night Slash straight away. It ends up being a CMP tie, so that's kind of okay for us. Night Slash does get the KO, and there you can see, pretty pointless boost there. They come in with a Alolan Marowak, and I must say, Shadow Blaziken was pretty fun to run, but I think I would have preferred to run Legacy Stone Edge, because there are a lot of scenarios like this up against, say, a Flying type or a Fire type Pokemon, where I would love to go just going straight for the Stone Edge there and not have to triple debuff my defense to throw another charge move here, because unfortunately, as I mentioned, I don't really like baiting, but because I dropped my defense by 4 stages now, they can actually just fully Fairy Wind, farm down my entire team, and unfortunately we do lose that game. Whereas if I was running Stone Edge there, we could have just taken them out, not dropped my defense, and I would have made it to a Blaze Kick up against the Whimsicott to win that game. But anyways, GG's to the opponent there. Into next game, another poor lead, leading into Charge Bug. I must say, Greninja really didn't get many leads, and you've seen already when we did get a good lead, we just completely lagged out of that battle. But either way, we are going to use a shield, and we're going to see a Quagsire coming in. So we're going straight for the Scorching Sands. Scorching Sands going to do huge damage to the Shadow Quagsire. I did think about shielding here, but again, there's not really much point. Instead, just going to let this go down. I'm going to come in with my Blaziken because they're not at back-to-back charge moves, so one counter will get the KO. They now come in with a Vigoroth, and this is very nice for us. Shadow Blaziken can actually just shield once and then go for a full counter farm down up against the Vigoroth, and we're going to come out with a ton of loaded energy. Excuse me there. We're going to go for the Blaze Kick straight away. Blaze Kick grabs the shield, and we've seen already that Blaze Kick doesn't quite one-shot them, so actually just swap into my Greninja, force the opponent to throw some of their energy. They go for the X-Scissor, but we can go for one extra counter, go for Blaze Kick number 2, and from this range, it will definitely KO the Charge Bug, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there into next game Greninja into Charge Bug once again. So again, just going to be say swapping into my Shadow Magmortar, and the opponent is going to actually swap into Unovan Stunfisk this time around. So again, another Pokemon that typically good up against fire types, but Scorching Sands hits for huge damage there. Honestly, I was hoping that I would put them into range where we can just Karate Chop farm them down, but you're going to see we are just narrowly short of missing out on that. So unfortunately, just going to have to go for a Fire Punch here. Fire Punch does at least grab a shield, and again, I don't think I can double shield the Shadow Magmortar, so it's just dealing slightly not enough damage there to sort of flip those matchups, but the opponent's got a Wigglytuff in the back anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I think this is always a losing matchup here. As we go for a Blaze Kick, we're going to swap into Greninja, and the opponent's going to actually make a catch onto their Charge Bug, which maybe not the most necessary play, but it basically just guarantees the win here, as they can go for a full farm down or force me to throw my energy, and either way it doesn't really help me as Night Slash gets the KO. They can come back in with the Wigglytuff, go for the Charm farm down, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG's to the opponent there into next game, another bad lead. Gonna say swap into Shadow Magmortar, and the opponent responds with a Magcargo. So Magcargo usually a very good response to most fire type Pokemon, especially a pure fire type Pokemon, but certainly not Magmortar, as we're hitting for super effective damage with those Karate Chops. Although you can see Incinerate is basically doing the same damage here, which is a little bit annoying, but we're going to overfarm here, go for the Scorching Sands on the CMP tie. A little bit risky here, but the opponent is going to use their shield. We drop their attack, and once again, I don't really want to double shield my Magmortar, so again, gonna come in with the Blaze again, but we've got a shield advantage this time around, and the opponent's got a Crocodile in the back. So once again, another matchup where having Stone Edge would be very nice, because unfortunately Brave Bird is going to get the KO, but it does drop my defense, and you can see it's going to be super close. I possibly could have swapped out there and then just cleared the debuff, but we commit to the Blaze Kick, we barely hang on, we're able to take out the Victory Bell, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there into next game, and this is actually a neutral lead for us, so we're just going to stay in, going straight for the Hydro Cannon. I don't think I want to bait here, because either the opponent shields and they're probably just going to go for a Feather Dance, or they're going to no shield and probably full send a Brave Bird. So at this point, I let Greninja go down. We can now come in with the Magmortar, go for a very nice Karate Chop farm down, and the opponent's got a Shadow Marsh Stomp in the back. So this is actually quite scary for us. We're going straight for the Scorching Sands. The opponent is going to use their shield there, which is a little bit frustrating. At this point as well, they throw at the perfect timing, thrown just before we make it to Scorching Sands number 2, but I'm going to go for it anyways, use my shield, and the opponent actually no shields there. We're going to swap into Blaziken, but because it's a one-turn swap there, they can fire off the charge move straight away. I'm going to shield this. The opponent does go for a discharge. It doesn't really matter what they threw there. They would make it to another discharge anyway, since we are one turn behind. And here we're going to go for the Blaze Kick, but you can see they can outpace us to the next charge move, and unfortunately discharge will be taking us out, and Magmortar doesn't have enough health to make it to a Fire Punch, so we do end up losing to the Charge Bug with 2 fire type Pokemon. But GG's to that opponent there, and speaking of Charge Bug, here it is once again in the lead. Again, gonna say swap into Shadow Magmortar. This time we are seeing a Quagsire in response, but they are very slow to swap out. This time it's also not a Shadow Quagsire, but they overfarm, once again underestimating the energy generation of Shadow Magmortar, and we're able to grab a shield advantage in a matchup where we had no business in grabbing a shield advantage. So that's actually very nice for us. We can come in with Greninja, and I don't really care about shielding. I know that the Charge Bug, unfortunately, is a very good response, so I'm not going to shield here. They go for the Stone Edge, dealing big damage, and we try to commit to the farm down, but unfortunately the opponent does get the new mechanic, or damage registration error, as some people call it, which is not ideal for us in the slightest. So now I am forced to use that shield. We make it to back-to-back Hydro Cannons, but if I throw here, they're just going to get a full Volt Switch in for free, and also Hydro Cannon wouldn't get the KO, so there's no point throwing. I'm actually just going to bank it, knowing that a Blaze Kick would get the KO here. The opponent's going to throw straight away, so this is just going to be an X-Scissor, but if the opponent did overfarm, of course, they wouldn't get off a charge move at all. But we are going to hang on to the energy, go for a Brave Bird at the last possible second, and Brave Bird does get the one-shot up against the Talonflame, and we're just one counter away from making it to a Blaze Kick, and Blaze Kick will be getting the one-shot up against the Charge Bug as well, and Shadow Blaziken able to sweep that team there, looking very strong in that closing position, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we see Vigoroth in the lead, and once again, not a good lead for the Greninja. Greninja just didn't seem to have many targets, if I'm honest. A lot of Fire-type Pokemon, if they were being run, were in the back, so yeah, it wasn't maybe the smartest team building from my end, but I mean, the team's not exactly good anyways, it doesn't really matter too much. But anyways, we're going to come in with the Blaziken, and we are going to shield this, go for the counter farm down, and the opponent comes in with a Toxapex, so we're going straight for the Brave Bird, and then I will be clearing the debuff immediately, swapping into my Greninja, and the opponent is choosing to stay in here. So at this point, this is actually just going to be a Brine Sum. I'm very happy to just let that go through. That really does not do much damage, even though Greninja is a pretty classy Pokemon. We're now going to go for a Night Slash. We do overfarm a substantial amount, and the opponent actually used their shield there. So we go for one extra Water Shuriken, we go for Night Slash, number 2, and Night Slash will get the KO, and they've got a Whiscash in the back. So this is actually looking slightly scary here. If the opponent's able to Mudshot farm us down, I think we will lose this game, but the opponent doesn't commit to it. Instead, they're going to fire off a Charge Move, allowing me to get a full Water Shuriken in for free. They definitely needed to commit to a full Fast Move farm down. I think we possibly would have been fine anyways, but we're able to take them out with Hydro Cannon number 2, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we see Greninja in the lead. Oh, sorry, not Greninja. We are running Greninja. We see a Greedent in the lead, but they're running Bullet Seed, so a bit of an awkward one here. I did just throw the Charge Move straight away. I'm going to tank the Body Slam, then swap into my Shadow Magmortar, and the opponent's going to respond with Azumarill. Now, I didn't see too many Azu, but yeah, unfortunately not running Thunderbolt, which I think was the Community Day move for the Shadow Magmortar. But either way, 2 Scorching Sands is pretty much going to get the KO anyways. So we did grab a shield with the second Scorching Sands, but they can go for a huge farm down. Now, again, this is another Pokemon like Lantern that does core break the entire team, but Greninja can at least resist the bubble damage. I'm going to throw on the CMP tie here. Hydro Cannon unfortunately not quite going to get the KO, but it will put them into counter farm down range. So at this point, going to save my shield for my Shadow Blaziken. We can get the counter farm down before they make it to another charge move, and we do get a decent energy advantage, but the opponent does outpace us to the Body Slam, and that's going to be huge as they grab my final shield. They come in with a Talonflame, and if we were able to make it to a Blaze Kick before we ended up taking that Body Slam there, I think we'd have been in a pretty good position. But unfortunately, all shields are now down. Flame Charge, even though it is resisted, still takes us out. Don't know why they didn't go for a Flight or a Brave Bird, but it didn't really matter there. It takes us out, and we do lose that game. But GG's to the opponent there, into next game, and once again, another Charge Bug. Once again, another Toxapex coming into my Magmortar Say Swap, and once again, we're going straight for the Scorching Sands, and at this point, the opponent is going to throw a Charge Move here, throwing just before we make it to a Fire Punch, but again, that's fine with me. I don't know if we got the debuff there, I wasn't really paying attention, but either way, we're going to wait out the Switch Card, come in with Greninja, and we can massively overfarm. Of course, Brine not going to do much damage. They have to commit to a full Sludge Wave there. So we go for the overfarm, we get the Night Slash KO, and we don't get the boost this time around, but we're going to go for a Hydro Cannon straight away. Hydro Cannon does some decent damage there. We're going to go for one extra Water Shuriken, swap into our Blaziken, and they've both got a Vigoroth in the back now. What I could have done is throw my Charge Move here, but instead I opted to just commit a shield and go for the full counter farm down. I wasn't certain if I threw a move there, if I would actually get that counter farm down, but we come out with back-to-back Blaze Kicks loaded. We're not going to throw a Charge Move at all, as the opponent, I think, also had back-to-back moves already loaded either way, and we are just one Water Shuriken away from the Charge Move, so assuming we didn't lag, which we didn't, we can come out with a Night Slash loaded, winning CMP up against the Charge Bug, and I'm able to take out the Charge Bug with a Night Slash, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into next game, we see Greninja into Mantine. So, I mean, not particularly good for my backline here, so I'm happy to see it here, but we're going to go for a Night Slash. Night Slash really not going to do that much damage up against the Mantine, and I can live anything they throw, but I'm thinking I don't really want to tank an Aerial Ace and then allow them to just fully farm me down. So instead, I'm actually going to shield the first move there, which I typically don't do that often, but we're going to go for a Night Slash here, and again, the opponent is going to make it to a charge move just before we make it to the next Night Slash. We can live the Aerial Ace, but you can see, it was pretty close. Now actually just go for the Night Slash straight away, because what I didn't want to do is maybe go for an extra Water Shuriken and end up getting farmed down by, say, a Vigoroth or something that swaps into us. But either way, we're going to see a Porygon 2. They're going to massively overfarm here. I'm just going to no shield, let Magmortar go down, and they go for a Solar Beam, which is resisted damage, non-stab, but it still one-shots us, which is pretty crazy to see. We come in with the Blaziken, and unfortunately they're running Skeledirge in the back, so I don't think we've got an awful lot of play here unless I'm able to swap into Greninja and get like a simultaneous like sack swap KO thing going on, but unfortunately we're not able to do so. Opponents that I faced sort of when I was doing these battles were very good at holding onto their energy and not just throwing their charges straight away, so I didn't really make a ton of catches, which is obviously a little bit frustrating on my end, but it's good to see from the opponent's end there. And into next battle, we are going to see a Venusaur in the lead, so once again Greninja just having a rough time in the lead. We're going to swap, and the opponent's got a Water Gun Lantern this time around, so not ideal for the Magmortar. We do at least grab a shield advantage, and Greninja does at least resist the fast move damage here, but obviously Thunderbolt going to do big damage in this matchup. The opponent is going to bait with a Surf, which is not ideal. We're going straight for the Night Slash here. I don't want to overfarm and allow them to make it to another charge move before we throw the Night Slash here, and we're able to make it to yet another Night Slash before the opponent ends up throwing. So Night Slash number 2 grabs that final shield from the opponent, and at this point I'm definitely going to shield my Greninja. Again, they are going to bait though, and here I'm going to play it quite risky, go for an overfarm, but the opponent is already at another charge move, and it is the Thunderbolt. So we're going to come in with the Blaziken, go for the full counter farm down, and let's see what the opponent has in the back. But they've got an Obstagoon, and this is actually massive for me because these counters dealing huge damage. We overfarm as much as possible, go for a Blaze Kick, getting the KO, and they are running Razor Leaf on the Venusaur, so this is going to be very close. Blaze Kick actually doesn't get the KO there, but we live one more Razor Leaf, we get the counter farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there into the final battle of this video, and finally a good lead for Greninja, but unfortunately the opponent safe swaps into a Lantern, so down on energy. This is very bad for my team. We're going to go for the Scorching Sand straight away, once again not baiting, and the opponent is definitely just going to shield that up there, so this is not ideal for me. I'm going to double shield this time around. I really need switch advantage here, so we are going to overfarm massively, hopefully throwing off my opponent's counts here. We go for Scorching Sands number 2, grab the shield, and we do throw off their counts. They commit to a full Spark farm down, and as a result, Scorching Sands number 3 gets the KO up against the Lantern. They come back in with the Charizard. They're actually running Fire Spin, and then they come in with a Dugong, so this is fine with me. We can just barely make it to a Blaze Kick. This actually probably won't quite take them out here, but it doesn't really matter. It puts them into farm down range for the Greninja, and this is going to be game over. Draw Run takes out the Blaziken, but we can just commit to a full Water Shuriken farm down, coming out with a Hydro Cannon loaded as well, and of course, up against a Shadow Charizard, it one-shots them, and we're able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.